Welcome to the Unraveling Achiever, the podcast for the person who's done everything right and is now questioning what that even means. I'm Angela McKay, former SVP of HR, turned intuitive career coach and soul reading practitioner. I help accomplished folks like you to stop defaulting to what looks good and start building what feels true. Because you don't have to turn your life upside down. You just need to point your achiever energy toward a soul-led career and life you'll love. Every episode, I tune into the energy of what's showing up for my clients and community and share what needs to be heard. No bypassing the mess, just honest guidance for the unraveling that changes everything. Let's get into it. For this episode, I'm using tarot to support the messages. Sometimes I tune in and receive the messages through meditation, and this time I'm using an extra layer, tarot, to help receive what needs to be heard. The topic of this episode was reflected to me through the Queen of Swords. So today we're talking about a personality type, an energy type, and this is an energy for you to consider embodying in your career, in your day-to-day interactions, in how you think about your work. The Swords suit is about communication, logic, intellect. It's the mind, the rational. And it's not a suit without emotion. Emotion is present. It's just that emotion isn't the go-to. It's not the decision maker. It's very in balance. It's processed. It's been regulated so that it can be a component of living, not the driver of living and decision making. The Queen of Swords is a very logical, wise person. She's the one that you go to for really great advice when you just need that foundational sounding board, someone who's hearing you and sorting through what you're saying. She's that person you turn to. And this week, we're talking about how you can further embody that practical, logical side as balanced with emotion and experience. How can you be more discerning in your actions? How can you be less quick to react? How can you work with your emotions in a way that you don't let them get in the way of your interactions with others or the decisions you make for yourself? Words can be sharp, and an emotional reaction can override experience. So how can you be that person who is firmly rooted and clear? A person who is clear and understandable. Your points come across very well and they're very well received. How can you embody that? So this is an episode about how you can navigate work and life with more clarity. I received 3 messages for you, and here's what came through. Message 1 is based on the 5 of Swords, which is very fitting. Here we have another Swords card. The 5 of Swords is typically one of conflict. In the imagery on the card, there's a person who looks kind of smug. There are a couple of other people who are turned away, and it feels and appears like post-battle. This person who looks smug, it appears they won the battle. But at what cost? Sometimes, take an argument, for example. In that argument, when it gets particularly heated and when we're letting our emotions lead the way, we often turn to words that cut, words that get right to the heart of somebody in a bad way, in a sharp way, in a way that is almost like you're aiming to hurt, even if that's not who you are and that's not your intention. But in the heat of an argument, we can say things we don't mean. And it goes to show that when we're in a heightened emotional state, the way we react can really get in the way of what we ultimately want. On the flip side of that, there can also be a total lack of emotion. When we don't have an undercurrent of empathy and compassion, and we approach something with a lack of emotion, it can end up in just as poor of a place as the over-emotional reaction. So in being able to navigate your life and your career with more clarity, do take some time to process before you turn to communication. Don't react in the heat of the moment. Allow yourself time to process. If you're at work and there's something that kind of shakes your nervous system and you could feel your body starting to change in reaction to what's going on, don't feel the need to hash that out in the moment. You can take time to breathe. You can take time to regulate. You can take time to figure out what it is that you want and what it is that you need to communicate to better facilitate that conversation. So that's our first message. Really do take the time to be intentional with your response rather than reacting so that you don't approach a situation in a way that you're going to soon regret. Our second message, it's also swords. This theme is carrying throughout. It's the Knight of Swords in reverse. The Knight of Swords precedes the Queen of Swords in the lineup. It goes page, knight, queen, and king. The Knight of Swords in its upright position is very take charge. It's a fast moving card. Let's say there's a plan. The Knight of Swords will take that plan, enforce it, implement it, no matter what. So it might mean that if something is in the way of the Knight of Swords, they're going to be quick to get that thing out of the way, or they're going to be quick to express some sort of charged method of plowing through. But they'll do that at the expense of thoughtfulness toward the plan. They'll do it at the expense of thoughtfulness toward people. They'll do it without thoughtfulness to a lot of things around them because they really want to make it happen quickly. So, in this message, too, there are a couple of different messages. One, do look out for hastiness. This is bringing forward some of that energy from our first message. Do look out for hastiness. Don't be so quick to make a move. Most things do not require the level of urgency or emergency that our mind applies to them. We really do have many opportunities to take a moment to consider and to think through. So, message number 2, in part, is to not be hasty so that you can navigate your life and your career with more clarity. Give it a hot beat to kind of settle and regulate and come to you with more clarity. So, again, your responses can be more effective than your reactions. But the Knight of Swords in reverse also shows us the opposite problem. When this energy is blocked or reversed, it can swing too far the other way into inaction, into overthinking, into what feels like analysis paralysis. You've regulated yourself, you've thought it through, you know what you want, but now you're frozen. Now you're stuck in your head about it. And that brings us to the second part of this second message. Once you know that there is a direction that you want to go or something that you want to do, you're going to have to nudge yourself to start putting that plan into action. It can be really easy once we know what it is that we want to do or what it is that we want to kind of take a back seat and stall out because it's going to likely require a conversation or an action step that feels scary. But you're going to have to embrace that scariness of the moment because it's aligned with that thing you want or the action that you want to take. Don't let yourself stall out once you have that clarity of what it is that you want or that you need. That is when you're going to want to bring that reasonable communication forward and speak for what it is that you want or that you need. So we have 2 messages in number 2. Don't be hasty, which is carrying from our message number 1, and speak and respond when it's time rather than stalling out. Message 3 is coming to us from a major arcana card. Major arcana cards carry a bit of a heavier weight. They're usually longer lasting. They range from the Fool at the very beginning, which is the beginning of our journey, to the World, which is at the end of the major arcana. And that is the card that I have, the World in reverse. Now, message 2 was about not stalling on the individual actions and conversations you know you need to have. But message 3 is zooming out to the bigger picture, the larger cycle or journey you're in. We're always on some kind of journey that has a beginning and an end. And they might not feel like they have an end because they just kind of transition into the next journey, but they all have a beginning and an end. And we're on these all the time. Once we're at the end, we then end up at the beginning of a next one. So this journey of the Fool to the World continues to happen. The World in reverse for message number 3 is showing me that there is a stuckness. There is something that is preventing you from completing the cycle you're in so that you can start that next one. And that makes sense. Again, It can feel really scary to jump into the next cycle, to jump into the next evolution. You've gained so much comfort with the evolution that you're in, even though it's been growing uncomfortable. It's the discomfort that you know. When I'm looking at this Queen of Swords that opened up our messaging, we were talking about how to navigate life and career with more clarity. There's somewhere that you're holding yourself back in jumping into that next journey. So, this is carrying forward a bit of the message from number 2. They're all connecting for us. Message number 2 is pointing out that stalling point, and that's what I'm perceiving in the world reversed. Those stalling points are really keeping you stuck at a bigger level. Every evolution that we have, every small action we take that amounts to another action step and continues to build, those all reveal something to us about ourselves. They all open the door to the next thing. So when we prevent ourselves from opening that door to the next thing, we really stall ourselves out in life and career. And we feel it. We feel stuck. Everything about us is ready for that next evolution, except for our frightened mind. And that frightened mind will keep us in those stall out points. In message number 3, with this world reversed, it really is just a message, a big overall message that to navigate life and career with more clarity, it does mean that we have to commit to taking action on whatever that means. It could be small, it can be big, it can be more internal, it could be external. There's a flow to all of that, but it will require that we take action on what we know is true for us. You need to embrace the idea that each action step reveals to you the next. You gain clarity through aligned action. You can't navigate life and your career with clarity if you're not actually taking steps to navigate. You end up just really stuck. And with all of these swords in this messaging, it's stuck in your mind that's being revealed. In our human experience, being stuck in our mind is something we're really, really great at. And we just have to take the steps to work past, to be brave, to have courage. So, yeah, the world reversed. I'm just seeing the stuckness that you're causing by not allowing yourself to really complete the cycle that you're in so that you can embark on the next aligned journey that is meant for you. To tie it all together, your mind, whether it's emotional reactivity, hastiness, fear, or overthinking, your mind is getting in the way of your clarity. The Queen of Swords energy is about bringing that mind into balance so you can navigate with wisdom. Not led by emotion, not frozen by fear, but clear, grounded, and ready to take the next step. In summary, the 3 messages about navigating work and life with more clarity are: message 1, process before you communicate. Take the time to be intentional with your response rather than reacting. Message 2, don't be hasty, but don't stall out either. Give yourself time to regulate and respond clearly, but once you know what you want, speak for it. Message 3, complete the cycle. Stop letting your frightened mind keep you stuck. Take the action on what you know is true for you so you can move into the next aligned journey. All 3 of these are about the same thing, bringing your mind into balance so it serves your clarity instead of sabotaging it. If what you heard today resonated, I'd love to support you in going deeper. Soul Reading is a 75-minute one-on-one session where I open your Akashic records, which are like the library of you, and help you reconnect with what your soul already knows about your path, your purpose, and what's next. You can learn more and book at angelaMckayllc.com/soul-reading. And if this episode landed for you, subscribe or follow so you don't miss what's coming next. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Thanks for being here, and until next time, take care.